Muhammad could not have known these facts about human development in the 7th century because most of them were not discovered until the 20th century. This is a leech, and this is the human embryo, about 23 days. I think you have to agree.
Muslims practice the 5 pillars of Islam. These are witness, affirming the absolute unity of God and accepting the prophecy of Muhammad. Worship, offering ritual prayers 5 times a day to God while facing in the direction of the Kaaba in Mecca. Charity, obligatory donation annually of at least 2.5% of accumulated wealth. Fasting, complete abstinence from food, drink, and conjugal relations from dawn until dusk by able-bodied adults during Ramadan. Pilgrimage, visiting the Kaaba and other sites in Mecca at least once in a lifetime.
Female priest who spent more than 2 decades in the Episcopal Church is now speaking out after being defrocked because she embraced another faith.
Ann Holmes Redding was an Episcopal priest for 25 years, and several years ago, while she was mourning the death of her mother, she was trying out an Islamic meditation technique that she'd learned in an interfaith class. And that, she says, is when it happened.
It came with such clarity and such power that I could understand it as nothing else but an invitation from God.
In fact, she says it was Jesus himself who led her to Islam.
You think Jesus led you to become a Muslim?
Yes. Yes.
You're laughing.
Because I know it doesn't make sense to people.
She prays 5 times a day to Allah.
In Islam, Jesus is viewed as a prophet.
Yes.
Not as the Son of God.
Yes, you're right.
So yours is a radical rethink of the Christian scriptures, a rethink that a lot of people would call heretical.
Yes, and do. Loudly.
And do you feel confident about that moment?
It's in the best of hands.
Dan Harris, ABC News, New York.
As known, the Old Testament was preserved in the Hebrew language. In the 5th chapter of the Shir HaShirim, which is one of the 5 Megillat or sacred scrolls that are part of the Hebrew Bible, or for short the Song of Solomon, as Christians know it today. That chapter is discussing someone. Jews will say it is discussing Solomon, while Christians will say it is discussing Jesus. Considering this is the Songs of Solomon, it would seem logical that it is discussing Solomon. The verses, describing this mystery man, have the narrator's speech conjugated in the feminine, meaning it is a woman who is describing this man. So it is possible that it is one of Solomon's wives discussing her husband Solomon. However, Christians assert that Jesus is being discussed, and that the chapter is describing a man who was not yet alive at that point. A prophecy. In reading the English translation of Song of Songs 5:16, it finishes the description by saying, "He is altogether lovely," but what most people don't know is that the name of that man was given in the original Megillat. Here is verse 16, and how it is written in ancient Hebrew, before introducing the vowels, in the 8th century. From the Hebrew Bible, on scripturetext.com. Here is the word in question. This word is made of 4 letters.
Mem, Het, Mem, Dalet.
Now when reading the word as it is written in its original form, with no vowels, it can be read as Muhammad, which is the name of the Muslim prophet, or as Mamad with no E after the H. According to Ben Yehuda's Hebrew English Dictionary, it is correctly pronounced as Muhammad, not Mamad. So how we're going to know for sure if it's pronounced as Muhammad, the Muslim prophet, or as Mamad, a random Hebrew word? The only way is to give the verse to a rabbi and say to him, "Please read." Here is the Song of Songs 5:16, and how it is read by a rabbi from a Hebrew Jewish site. Please notice, the im in Hebrew is a plural of respect.
Hiko mantakim vechullo mahamadim ze dodi vezer'i benot Yerushalayim. Hiko mantakim vechullo mahamadim ze dodi vezer'i benot Yerushalayim.
Here is the famous SDL translation tool, which includes a professional human translation as well as an online translation. We're going to copy our Hebrew word of the Song of Songs directly from the Jewish site. It's the same site where you can hear the rabbi reading the verse in Hebrew. All links are in the description, so we're going to copy the word and paste it, and ask, "Please translate." Are they going to translate the meaning of the name of that person? As the Bible translators did. Which is the praised and the lovely one, or are they going to keep the name as it is? Well, see it yourself. Here is the World Lingo Translator. The result is the same. It's Muhammad.
And a part of the teaching that they as priests have is to study Islam. Every priest is forced to study Islam. Now you may not know that, but you can ask your priest and he'll confirm it. And when you study Islam, even when Islam is taught to you by somebody who hates Islam, as long as they don't corrupt it too far, you can still see the truth in Islam. A classical example happened to me just recently when I was in Saudi Arabia. A friend of mine, very old copy of one of the first Qurans ever translated to English by George Sale. George Sale hated Islam, he hated the Muslims, but when he translated the Quran to English, he was true to the text of the words. Although maybe not getting all the meaning, he certainly was true to the text of other words, I was shocked when I read it. Have you seen it? You know what I'm talking about? Amazing. And listen to this. George Bernard Shaw, for instance, is one of many, a long list of people who read this and realized the truth of Islam. When people see the truth of Islam, it can change them if they want to be guided. If they want the truth, it can change them. When Jesus is talking to his own companions and they ask him, what's the greatest commandment? Mark 12:29. Clear. The greatest commandment is to know, O Israel, the Lord your God is one God. And you have to love him with all your heart, and all your mind, and all your strength. And this is no different from what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was saying the same thing to his people. Same thing I mentioned in the lecture. This is certainly for us the same. So what you see is Muslims practicing the commandments, and you see people claiming the commandments but practicing something else. And I have seen more converts from the Catholic Church than any other of the many sects of Christianity, and especially from the nuns, priests, and even an archbishop. And all of them are better than me. Those guys and women that I see do this, they still sacrifice their whole life to get the true message of Islam, not only to you, but to Muslims as well, because we all need it. Thanks for a great question.
Well, many people turn to religion to help them cope in the days after the 9/11 attacks, and some even chose new faiths, including Islam. That may be no surprise, since a quarter of the estimated 6 million Muslims in the United States are converts. Delia Gallagher looks at two people who chose that path.
Alison Poole says this phrase 3 times in Arabic, and then in English.
There's no God but God. And I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God.
And her conversion ceremony is complete. She's now a Muslim. The imam who married Alison says he's seen more American converts recently, in part because of the prominence of Islam in the news.
It may sound paradoxical, but what happens is that when something becomes more in the news, people tend to want to know about it.